This is gonna be my second attempt at recording this level. Let me tell you, this level is it's a little bull, just a tad bit bull. I just spent about 15 minutes dying in the first section. So it might just be more death here, but I had to like restart the recording, and I figured might as well just restart the level because I was already checkpointed at the start. So the first few battles I've already seen, and of course there's no checkpoints, but like to be expected at this point. Completely, totally to be expected. But yeah, so earlier today, Blair Witch dropped, and I got around to playing Blair Witch. I went to that game with literally zero expectation. I looked at no pre-release footage. I knew nothing about the game. I was going in blind as you possibly can, right? Like, blinder than blind. Like, we're talking, like, Stevie Wonder had better vision kind of going into that game. And let me tell you, bad. Like, really, really bad. I don't like calling games, like, super bad. I really don't. I kind of strive for, like, every game I play to be pretty decent, pretty good, have, like, something redeeming about it. But Blair Witch, by the end, literally left me with, not a single positive thing to say, really. And there's like a lot of stuff to kind of go into it, so I'm going to talk about it right now, and keep in mind, I'm not going to spoil anything, I'm not going to go into the big plot line or anything. I'm going to be pretty vague about everything, outside of like maybe some gameplay mechanics, but so it's by like to my understanding, it's by the Layers of Fear dudes. I'm not sure if they just developed it, or if they only published it, or like what the story is. But you can definitely tell they were, you know, behind it in some form, because it basically plays like a reskinned Layers of Fear. Like, it feels like it's Layers of Fear, but with a Blair Witch tone to it, like a Blair Witch theme, if you will. Yet no part of it really matches up with Blair Witch to me, outside of like some of the imagery. Like, there's some Blair Witch imagery, but like it's, if you took out like the Blair Witch like logo, essentially, called it like Layers of Fear 3, and just gave it like a forest like theme, 100% would have believed you. That's just like how non-Blair Witch it is. If I'm gonna be completely honest, it was just, they didn't really invoke many feelings of it. Like, they had like some areas that you might recognize from, like, you know, the movies or whatnot, or like some things that might invoke memories of the film, I should say. It's probably the better way to put it. But honestly, it might as well not even have the name Blair Witch. Now, the biggest problem with that game, and I think it just kind of comes down to like one of the more core gameplay mechanics that was just ugh, was in that game you have a companion character, kind of like you have a dog. His name is Bullet. He's really cute. He's a cute video game dog, but his main thing is he is helping you throughout the forest because you play as a dude, and he's helping search for a child that was lost in the woods, you know. And now the dog is going to be able to sniff things out for you, lead you the right way, warn you of dangers, maybe lurking ahead, things like that. And, like, you have options like reprimand him and pet him and tell him to stay, tell him to come, things like that. So you get to basically play a dog owner. But in the game, it kind of tells you, like, there's consequences, like, how you treat your dog and, like, how things play out. But, like, it's Telltale Games level of, kind of, importance. Like, where it didn't really feel like anything I did had importance at all, really. Maybe certain areas played out I don't even want to say they would have played out any differently, because I don't see how they could have. But they kind of like really push this as like, treat your dog well, it's gonna matter, blah 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 blah. I got none of that. It just felt like a tacked on mechanic, and like the dog just tracked terribly. Like, you kind of like had to wait for it to catch up, or get super far ahead, or an animation glitch. Sometimes it would just get completely lost. You'd be like, where is it? I at one point actually had it completely bug, and I had to beat a level without it tracking for me and leading me the way, which is pretty important when your game is entirely forced with no real sense of direction. So yeah, that was a thing. Was not a good time. It just kept losing them. And the game itself, I don't know, like it was a very boring gameplay path, and like it was 4 hours long, which, as I've covered before, like short games, it's fine. Like I kind of prefer my games to be shorter, but this game, even though it was super short, right? Like it was like 4 hours long, felt like it was 20 hours long. Like no joke, it felt like it would never end. Without saying anything specific, there's a part of the game way late in the game. Again, I'm not gonna say locations or anything, but or like what's happening, but it felt like anyone could have like designed that level, like within gaming development, like the gaming industry could have probably designed that level to be like 15-20 minutes long. And this thing dragged on for like 45 minutes, and it was just doing the same monotonous thing for those 45 minutes, and it added some stuff to the story, yes, but like the story that was there really wasn't any good to begin with. And it did not feel like it needed to be there. It felt like it needed to be there, but like not in the way they presented it. It was just very annoying and frustrating to get through. Not because it was difficult, like I was able to rush through it, no problem. It just didn't end. It went on and on, like this conversation about the game right now. Like you kind of probably wish I would shut up about this game. But no, you're getting the full Blair Witch experience through my thoughts on it. It was really bad, and another big terrible thing about it was the game itself performed terribly, right? Now, mind you, like, I don't have a terrible PC. It's not like, you know, top tier. It's a 1070 and 8700K, 32 gigs of RAM, Windows 10. You know, just a very standard build. I play at 1440p. Like, it's nothing crazy. But, I actually had to lock that game to 30 FPS. And even at 30 FPS, it was using significant resources on my end, which should not be happening. I will be the first one to admit, you know, I'm not going to expect max setting 60 FPS, 1440p on my reg. Like, I'm not gonna expect that, on, like, especially on, like, new games and whatnot. Like, my graphic card's, like, 2 years old, 3 years old now. And for 1440p, it still definitely cuts it for basically most games, but I can kind of get it, like, if certain games start lagging behind a little bit at this point. But, like, even apparently, like, on 2080s and 2080 Ti's, like, the game was struggling to get above 40 or 50, which is, like, unreal to me. But they did release a patch, like a patch a few hours after the game came out to kind of fix it. But of course, it was for the Steam version and not the Windows Store version, which myself and many other people were playing, because it was on the PC Game Pass. So I had to play the game at 30. And it felt gross. And the game itself wasn't even very good. And, ugh, I don't know, it was not a good time. But I'm glad I played through it. Like, at least I can say, hey, I beat that game. I played another game I wanted to play through this year, so it is what it is. Now I can kind of move on to the next games I want to play this year, whether it's, like, LA Noire, or if it's going to be Control, or Quantum Break, or, like, Red Dead, or anything like that. Like, I have, like, you know, my opportunity to play another game up. You know, I got through it. But yeah, case in point, for 10 minutes of bitching about it, that was not a fan of Blair Witch, I think is what we can kind of say. And that's all I really gotta say about that game, I think. It was just a really big disappointment. But so be it, they all can't be winners. Hopefully the next game I'll play is a little bit better. We shall see. I feel like, just in a general thought, like, I feel like horror games, for the most part, have been not particularly great lately. Like, some are okay. Like, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake, really good. Man of Medan was really good. Alien Isolation a couple of years ago was incredible, one of my favorite horror games ever made. But, like, outside of those, there really isn't much great to comment on. Other than horror games. At least nothing that comes to mind, at least, like, in the AAA space. I'm trying to think of any, and I'm struggling. Like, I hope that the horror genre, like, will kind of, like, you know, get back on its feet now. The Capcom's kind of revived Resident Evil, and, like, people are super into survival horror again, it feels like, but as it is right now, it just kind of, it feels like there's mainly wasted potential in horror games. With, like, the few, like, glimmers of brilliance, you know? Like, we're averaging, like, 1 or 2 really good ones per year. Which sounds like it's good, but, like, when you consider, like, other games, like action games, adventure games, like, literally anything shooters, like, there's probably, like, 10 or 11 really good ones per year at this point. And horror just kind of feels like every couple of months, maybe you'll get one that's passable or decent enough. You know? I just kind of, like, strive for, like, that genre to, like, really, really, really take off again. And I'm hoping, like, all the hype around, like, the new Resident Evils and stuff kind of help with that. We'll see. But a man can dream, a man can hope. I'm just hoping, like, it's not gonna be strictly remakes coming out of, like, older horror games. Like, as much as I would love to say, like, hey, Capcom's making, like, a new Dino Crisis, like a Dino Crisis remake, and like, hey, Silent Hill 2 remakes coming out, and things like that. Like, as cool as that would be. I want, like, some new good IPs, right? Because, like, there's been, like, a few, like, new IP attempts, like, in horror. Like, a few. Like, there was Evil Within, it's, like, a big notable one. Outlast is, like, another big IP note. But a lot of them just don't feel good. Like, I think Evil Within 1 was awful. Evil Within 2, I never finished, but, like, it felt a little bit better. But it didn't really feel like I had much of a personality going for it, if I'm going to be completely honest with that. Granted, I didn't play enough of it to, like, really form a solid opinion of it, but it didn't seem like it was going to go in a direction I'd really love, so, eh. I don't know, like, it's really not been much great. Like, you had, like, what, like a decade ago, more than a decade ago, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which was pretty fucking good. Ooh, I swore on the YouTube, but yeah, that game was pretty good. But then, you know, Machine for Pigs came out, and that was awful. It was by the Chinese Room. It was just not Amnesia in the slightest. In anything but, like, visual style. I gotta get help. Yeah, just a lot of IPs either kickstart, and, like, some people like them, you know? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, like, oh, Outlast is a garbage game. I may not like it, but I've realized, like, a lot of people do like it. But maybe I should kind of, like, rephrase this and say, like, the horror genre in games has been kind of letting me down for a while. There we go. Little moments of brilliance followed by a bunch of awful. There we go. Like, for me personally, because I don't want to, like, say my opinion on the whole state of that genre is the accurate representation of what's really happening for everybody. It's not. I think the biggest pet peeve I have right now with horror games, though, is a lot of them go for the you're defenseless, go hide sort of mechanic. Like that one, like, it just... I hate that mechanic. Let's put it like that. I hate it. I think it might be, like, why I loved Alien Isolation so much, because in Alien Isolation, like, you had, like, that I have to hide, I'm defenseless feeling, but, like, you were still given a means of defense, you know, to, like, kind of, fight back, you know? Like, Outlast, like, you're a perfectly healthy dude, for the at least from the start, like, you're fairly healthy, and then they just say, like, you can't even try to fight back in it, and it's just, why? That was the end of the level, okay. I'm surprised.
I'm outside. Where are you?
Right, we see you now. Be advised, Sergeant. We're coming in heavy and a little low.
level. But yeah, like I was saying, like I don't really feel like the need that I need to be able to defend myself in every game and like be successful at it, but like I want to at least have the option here and there to be like I can set up a trap for like, you know, the bad guy. I can kind of lock him in. Maybe I can maybe punch them and stun them for like half a second. Like get like a small fighting chance, not just be like a get found die sort of situation. Like in Alien Isolation, right? Which is a game I respect greatly. You couldn't necessarily kill the Xenomorph, right? But they gave you like a flamethrower, like it would scare it off for a little bit, then it would come back madder than ever, but like you were still able to do something to get it off your tail for a little bit. Or your trail, maybe. You get to like throw like little like sound alerts, like noisemakers, to kind of like maybe get it to a different area for a little bit. Like, they gave you options to not necessarily beat it, but at least defend yourself and get yourself out of danger. Which to me was so important. Like, there are other enemy types, too, that you can kind of, like, harm. Which I thought was very, very awesome and very important. You know? I wonder if I can actually hurt this thing like this. See, I'm just kind of like done with like the run and hide thing, unless the game does it very well. And the unfortunate truth is many games don't feel like they do it well. I feel like a lot of games just kind of do because they feel like they have to do it. Like, I think a game that kind of like does like the you can't kill the enemy, but like you can at least try and fight back is my main primary game, like Dead by Daylight. Now, mind you, the survivor role, which is kind of like the helpless role, has so many tools in the game that it's borderline a joke if you're very good at the game. Like, you can typically win every, like, match you play. Or have, like, a really, really good fight against, like, the killer in the game. If you know how to do things, but, like, even though you can't fight back, you're not helpless. You can stun them with pallets, you have, like, perks that'll stun them. You'll be able to, like, throw distractions, get them off your tail, things like that, you know? Like, don't underestimate, like, how important that is. Like, it might sound like, oh, big whoop, like, you can throw, like, a wooden pallet on them. Like, why is that a big deal? But, like, at the end of the day, like, it gives you some form of defense, even if it doesn't kill a thing. It still makes it feel like you have a fighting chance against what you're facing. And to me, that is such an important thing, and probably like a huge deciding factor in like why I play as much Dead by Daylight as I do. Like, as a killer, like when I start like, you know, getting like momentum, I feel unstoppable. Like, I am like a freaking god, basically. Just a god of killing. But as Survivor, like, I can feel like I'm really, really like thwarting a villain's plans. Like, I'm doing a good job. Like, I can hide if I want to. Like, if I want that gameplay experience, like, I can decide, hey, I'm gonna hide this game. And no problem. Like, the game supports that. And, like, there are perks to support that playstyle. But, like, if you want to say, like, I want to go, like, on the offensive. I want to, like, track them down. I want to route them around the map. Like, I want to, like, really make this player I'm facing hate me. And help score a win for my team. Like, you can definitely do that. So I think it's like one thing like Dead by Daylight gets really right, that like a lot of like other games like within like that horror genre or atmosphere just gets so wrong. Do I get to drive this?
Now get after those 10 spiders.
Ooh. Nice. Oh, you gotta drive this car way differently, or tank rather. You gotta drive it way differently. All right. The tank controls like a tank. Got it. Yeah, no, that just seems like a ramble, and I feel like I never really fully got started or ended that ramble. But you know what? I'm not here to be coherent. I'm here just to kind of like play Resistance and talk about whatever. And that was, like, at the forefront of my mind this episode. And it's all because of Blair Witch. Thanks, Blair Witch. It's only good to come out of you. That was like a good, like, 20-minute talk. And it led right into, like, a different kind of, like, gameplay loop here, which I'm very happy about. Because as I play this game, I've been very vocal about a lot of things, right? It's random difficulty spikes, lack of checkpoints, it's an unnecessary amount of enemy spam in some of these areas. It's just all that, like, you've all heard it, like, many times already this playthrough, but when you get, like, little sections like this, it just kind of, like, spices it up a bit, and, like, you feel kind of powerful. It's nice. I can dig it. I just wish these sections, like, weren't so few and far between. Like, if they had, like, 3 more, like, vehicle sections, or just slightly different sections, I would have been so happy. You know, so be it. Else knows, I say so be it a lot. Just a habit I have, I guess. So be it with that habit. This part of the level's pretty cool. And knowing this game is probably going to end it probably like in the next room. Or like next area. It's just going to be like, hey, level over. With how this game kind of goes. So where am I going now? Oh, like maybe inside this main building, but no. Oh, here we go. They opened up a new way for me. That's nice. Although I'm starting to get kind of low on health in this tank. Which ain't ideal. Alright. Sweet. Like, this thing feels so powerful. It's so good. It's kind of like the power I wish, like, the game would make me feel, like, more frequently. Because this game really fails to make you, like, feel powerful in this battle. And in a game like this, like, where, like, you know, you're kind of infected, like, with, like, whatever the Chimera gives you, and, like, you know, you transform into them, and, like, you get, like, regeneration and stuff, like, you know, you would feel like as levels go on, like, you'd feel stronger, like, you're mutating more and more, like, you'd be, like, a stronger character, but, like, that's not what happens. You just kind of feel weak and defenseless. No matter, like, what part of this game, no matter, like, what part of the game you're on, like, you just feel weak. So when you get, like, a tank or something, right, that just seemingly powers through everything, and you're able to kind of, like, nail things, like, your first go, it's a good feeling. It is a really good feeling. Although, admittedly, I'm getting very close to death here. But yeah, whatever. That was cool. It was a segment I feel like the game's needed for a while. Because last segment you were in the... I want to call it the Sentinel again, but I know it's not the Sentinel. I'm trying to, like, remember what the name is. Oh, God. What was the name of it? Not Sentinel. I know it starts with an S. It keeps escaping my mind, but... that level, like, a few levels ago, that was, like, a minute long. I was like, really? I kind of wish we had, like, more segments like that, and I didn't know if, like, we were going to get another one like that. It's just because I've said, like, I've looked in the guide to see how far I am, not really reading the details of the levels I'm playing. I'm trying to gauge how long the levels are going to be, so I can, like, properly plan the video lengths, like, accordingly, and plan my time accordingly. Although, with this level, I'm not sure, like, how much is actually left. And I get, like, a really good gauge on this one. Alright. I'm sure it's almost over, because, like, I haven't even... knock on wood. I haven't even died yet, so... I've been going through this level, like, at a pretty decent pace. Or have I died? I don't think I have. For once, like, there's, like, a level I'm going through, like, at a good pace. A tricky-ish level, but, like, I'm getting through it. I can't complain. Good thing I knocked on wood, huh? Wonder where it's gonna checkpoint me. You get blasted in this game. I could have swore I was at, like, full health and I got hit by one thing. Oh, but that's a good checkpoint, though. That's a really good checkpoint. That's good. I was worried I wouldn't get the mercy and I had to, like, redo the tank scene. That was my biggest worry there. Oh god, I'm almost dead. There's health down here, though, in this room. Oh god, but there's also a dude down here. Fuck. I said another bad word. When I say a bad word on the YouTube, that's how you know. Stuff's a little bit intense. Just a tad bit. And why the field of view headache's starting to come in right now, because I have, even though this episode's only been going on for like 25 minutes or so. Again, I was recording for like 10-15 minutes earlier, and just redid the first level of this episode because the episode itself was going nowhere and the commentary fell off. So it's like I've been playing for like close to an hour now, which is like my upper limit. Or more like 45 minutes, which is, yeah, it's still my upper limit. So let's kill some more baddies. And see where this game takes us from here. Oh, that was it. Cool.
Arrived in London nearly unscathed. It was hard not to stare in awe at the tower. We had only fled London 6 months earlier, and now it was almost unrecognizable. The whole city was covered in snow. I knew the Chimera thrived in cold weather, but it was hard to fathom how they might actually be altering the climate itself. The power conduits, the snow, and the tower had to be related in some way. There was no time to think about it. Their armies were already guarding the tower, and more would be coming. We set the tanks up in assault formation and started across Tower Bridge. The last tanks were crossing the bridge when we saw Goliaths approaching from behind. We had to destroy the bridge before they caught up to our tanks. Hale and a few other soldiers took up defensive positions while the charges were being set.
So cool lead up. So now we're back in London. We're going to the big tower. We're defending charges on a bridge. Okay. That sounds like a really, really nice level to leave off on. Again, I'm kind of like getting my headache on a little bit, so definitely gonna stop here. But we're going on level 26 out of 30, so we probably only have like 2 more episodes of this series left. But I'm really happy with like the talk this episode about like horror games and whatnot. So that was fun. That was a fun little chat. It was probably super rambly, maybe not super interesting, but I had fun with it. But yeah, I'll catch you guys again for the next episode. We'll probably attack like levels 26, 27, and 28 maybe, or just 26, 27, and do the last 3 levels like in one big last mega episode. We'll see. But that's gonna do it for me here. Y'all have a lovely day. Catch you guys again for the next one, and toodles, y'all.